on the full responsibility that you have given all of the gifts that you've been given by God. Yeah. Is there any place where you're not taking on responsibility for that?
No. I think I take care of absolutely everybody I love in every single way. I think anybody who's ever needed me, I've been there for them if they've deserved it. I think anybody who listens to my message is becoming a better person overall. I genuinely believe I'm fixing and helping society. I don't know what else more I'm supposed to do. I mean, to a degree, I've almost martyred myself. What else more can I do? My options at this point are either to continue to help people and explain to men why I became so successful, which is all I'm basically doing. I'm saying you're a man and you're upset and you want to be X. I'm telling you how I became what I wanted to be. This is what I did.
Is there anything beyond the things you just said that you're responsible for? Like, what is your responsibility here?
My responsibility?
Well, I guess ultimately to yourself, it's to your family first, right? What is your responsibility to God?
I think God wants me to be the best possible version of myself. I think that God dislikes people who are lazy. I said this to somebody once and he got very offended. I said, God doesn't like lazy people. God has created you and he wants to see the absolute best you can be. I think that if you don't take care of yourself, God has no interest in taking care of you. If you have a Ferrari on the drive and you don't take care of it, who's going to take care of it? Nobody. I think that taking care of yourself and being the best possible version of yourself you can be is how you please God. I think that's one of the best ways to praise him, is to wake up every day and say, I need to be the strongest, smartest, fastest, most fearsome, most stoic, most capable man I can possibly be. This is how I please God. So I think your duty to God is also these things. And that's another massive source of strength that I get. When I'm alone in a jail cell, I understand that God is still watching. And God would be unhappy if I couldn't handle it. I don't think, maybe we can talk about God, or we can also talk just about basic cosmic balance. I don't believe you can become the most famous man on the planet calling yourself the top G without the universe testing you if you're really about it. I don't think you're going to get to a point where the universe, whatever you want to call it, is going to say, is he really the top G? Yeah. And you're going to have to prove it. If you walk through life and say, I'm made of iron, I'm Mr. Tough Guy, sooner or later someone's going to check you and find out if you are or not. Right. So when I was doing this for a very long time, I wasn't ignorant to the fact that something's going to come along and see if I am who I am. So when I'm sitting in a jail cell by myself with cockroaches all over the floor, I'm like, okay, this is my chance to show I'm not full of shit. Right. Was I full of shit? No, I wasn't. Am I going to allow everything I've ever said and my last name and my duty to God and everything to go down the pan, or am I going to just man up and fucking win? Right. So I saw it, I guess, to a degree as an opportunity, but there was a massive burden of responsibility on me on how I had to perform. I didn't have time to be depressed or sad. This is what I'm saying to you earlier. I didn't have time. I had things to do. Top G's kids can't eat. Top G's women can't pay the bills. Top G's business is over. No, I had to fix all of it. From jail and fix myself and get out. I was very busy inside of my brain staring at a wall. So I didn't have time for this. And this is another thing I try and explain to people and I don't understand about, and I talk about men specifically because I understand how to be successful as a man. When men say to me they're depressed, with unlimited options, with the capability to become anything you desire, with God giving you a full and able body and mind, how do you have time to be depressed? You have so much you could do. There's so much that you need to do to be your best self. And you're competing against men like me, and you're finding hours a day to be sad? No wonder you're going to perpetually lose forever. Right. That's suicide. So how do you find time to do this? It's brutally ineffective. You have a brain, you have a mind, you have a mental model. You can't think of everything, you can't do everything. You can only have certain frameworks instilled inside of your mind. As a man, you should be hyper competitive. You should try and be the best version of yourself you can be. You're competing against every other man on earth for the girl you want, the car you want, the house you want, the watch you wear. It's all competition. You should be as competitive as you possibly can. Anything that's inside of your mind which doesn't allow you to be competitive should be erased.
I'm gonna be for real. When it comes down to depression, you gotta really address what's making you depressed, because it could be porn, it could be anything that you're not handling in your life that you're not addressing. You just waking up and going about your life and not trying to address that problem. That's exactly what's going on. That's contributing to your stress. That's contributing to your depression. Nah, it keep lingering on day after day after day after day. I mean, with me, if I ever get depressed about something, it's because I'm not doing what I want to do. I want to go to the gym every day. Now my car not getting fixed. Now it's been a week or 2 weeks or whatever, however long it been since my car got, you know what I'm saying, trying to get my car working or whatever. That type of shit depresses me, and I'm pretty sure it depresses you too as a guy. When you don't hit your goal that you wanted to hit this week or some shit like that, it depresses you. If it depresses me, I know damn sure it depresses y'all. So you gotta address what depresses you. Cause what might depress you, the one thing, the number one thing to go ahead and get out of depression is have minimum $3,000 to $5,000 in your bank account and a haircut, and see if you still depressed. That's the minimum.
This is why I can't name a weakness. I can't name a weakness I have. I've compensated so heavily for any weakness that may exist, I don't even see them anymore.
Is your belief in God tied into this concept that we talked about, that what's useful is more important than what's true, or better than what's true? So we don't, do we know that God exists? I mean, we don't know.
Correct.
But it's useful to believe in God.
That's a very good question. I think that believing in God certainly makes you more powerful, which is proof for God. If God makes you more powerful, then God is real. So maybe that's very simplistic, but if I believe in God and I'm a more powerful version of myself because I believe in him, then he must exist.
Yes.
God has made me more powerful.
Well, it's the act of believing him that makes him exist, which is another way of saying what you just said.
Correct, yeah. So this is why I believe faith is such an important thing. But I think everybody has a God anyway.
Yes.
There's no such thing as atheists. If you look at the people who say, oh, I don't believe in God, they worship a flag and a vaccine.
Yeah.
So everyone believes in something.
Yeah.
So you have to decide what your religion is. And I, once again, refuse to believe in anything that takes away power from me. I believe in things that make me more powerful. And I believe that believing in God gives you a new degree of strength. And I also think everybody to some degree believes in God. I don't care what anybody says. If you put anyone in that submarine just before it imploded, everyone would pray. Yeah. Everyone. Yeah. So it's ignorant to even say you don't believe in God at this point.
It's interesting that you chose Islam. And I heard you talk a little bit about how you see God in Islam as kind of, you know, I don't know, harshest, but like firm and directional and clear, and this is right and this is wrong, which sounds a lot like your dad.
Well, it sounds a lot like life.
Yeah, like life.
There's right and wrong in life. All this complete subjectiveness, this mush they're trying to create, is done on purpose to confuse us. Yeah. I like the idea of right and wrong. I like the idea of not having a choice. If you walk in, if you're hungry and you walk in to buy a sandwich and there's 100 sandwiches, it takes 10 minutes. If there's one sandwich, isn't life easier sometimes? Yeah. So all this subjectiveness and all this choice and all this garbage, sometimes when I'm like, okay, I want to be a good person, I want a framework to adhere to that makes me a good person. Well, this is very clear. Yes, no, easy.
Do you have like embodied experiences of God? Like, do you relate to God in that way? You know, I don't want to say supernatural, but like, do you feel God?
I absolutely feel him, and there's certain times where I may feel particularly energetic.
When do you feel God?
So, usually when I'm feeling powerful. There's been times I was in jail and I just got up and I just felt like, you know what, like just shadow boxed a bit. I don't know. It's like you just felt it. Like I'll be okay. I will win. I don't feel God when I'm sad or something like that. I think that the whole idea of spirituality, and I believe God himself, he wants the best for you. And it's interesting, how we're tying religion to my worldviews, because my worldviews were the same before religion. I guess before it was the cosmos, or just the way the universe works, or light, dark, yin, yang, etc. I still say these things, but now I attribute a lot more of it to spirituality, a lot more of it to God. And I chose Islam because it's firm, and I believe that I'm a person with firm principles. So I'm obviously going to liken myself, or I'm going to feel an affinity to a religion that has firm principles, because that's who I am as a person. I'm a person who's principled, yes, no, and I have no problem with people sitting with me and saying, what you're saying is bigoted, or what you're saying is wrong, or what you're saying is insensitive. I think Islam also has a similar issue.
Yeah, I think you also chose the winning team.
Oh, it's completely the winning team. It's the winning team. And it's the winning team, and I didn't choose it because it's the winning team. It's just the winning team because it has principles.
Yeah, I agree.
And unfortunately, when you have no principles, if you stick up, if you don't believe in it, if you have no hard line, if you'll accept anything, then you don't believe in anything. As soon as you'll accept anything, then you have no hardcore beliefs. If you have any set of principles or you have any things you believe in, there's going to end up being a barrier, and the people who fall outside of those barriers are going to be offended by it. That's the reality of it. If you have a religion or a belief system that doesn't offend anybody, then it's not a religious or belief system. That's my view. So yeah, I chose the winning team because I think more and more people are starting to understand how important God is in society. This is the first time in human history we're testing society without God. And what do we have? We have evil. Yeah. We have Satanism. We have degeneracy. And I think that most people are starting to understand that God is really needed. When I was young, I used to make fun of Bible bashers. I used to make fun of them. Yeah. And now I'm like, we need more. Yeah. Where are they? We need more Bible bashers. So, yeah, and I guess I certainly feel more powerful since I've reverted, but I always felt powerful anyway. But I guess now, instead of just believing it's the cosmic nature of the universe let me change that. I always felt a strong affinity to my last name and my ancestors. So I always had to a degree, a spiritual aspect to where I got my strength. I always felt like, well, my dad is watching me, or my ancestors tried very hard for me to be born, so I can't disappoint them. So I've always had this spiritualistic side. Like, imagine the disappointment my ancestors would feel if they fought saber-toothed tigers and survived World War II and went through all the garbage they went through just for my father to be born, and then he suffered like he suffered to raise me, for me to be raised and become the most famous man in the world and call myself top G and then cry when I went to jail. What am I? What kind of bitch? What am I going to go, wah? No, I go to jail with my head held high, and if they put me in jail for the next 20 years, I'll walk in there with my head held high. And if anybody sees me, I'm not going to be a broken man. I refuse to be a broken man. It's disrespectful to everybody who ever died or tried hard for me to be raised, for me to emerge from this difficulty as a broken person. That's absolutely and utterly selfish. When a man sits and says to me he's broken or he's depressed or he's sad, etc., that's selfishness. You have shit to do. Yeah. And you have people to be respectful to, including people who are no longer here. I don't have time. They can put me in solitary confinement for 20 years, and when I walk out of there, and the first podcast I do, I refuse to be called broken. I refuse. And that's because I feel like I had a duty to my ancestors. And now I feel like I have a duty to my ancestors and a duty to God. So I've always felt that.
And I assume you feel like you're fulfilling your duty, that your father would be proud of you?
I absolutely believe he'd be extremely proud of me. I think I'm doing the best I can possibly do. And there's something that people say, you tried your best. And that's true. But a lot of people overuse it. People say, oh, well, you didn't get it, but you tried your best. 99% of the time, they didn't try their best. People don't actually try very hard for things anymore. I am truly, genuinely trying my best. I don't waste a minute of my day. Before this podcast, as I set up cameras, I'm working. I don't waste a minute of my day. I do not miss a training session. I do not miss an email. I do not make mistakes. I'm on it. So I'm trying my absolute best. If I fail, for the first time in human history, then I failed. But at least I get the satisfaction in my heart of knowing I actually really tried my best. Most people don't get that satisfaction because they know deep down they could have tried a bit harder. Whereas if I end up in jail, I'll be like, Andrew, you did everything you could have done. So that gives you a level of peace. I did my best. My ancestors are proud of me. God is proud of me. I did my absolute best. I couldn't have possibly done better. And I got hit with a lucky punch, and that's life. And all I can do is just smile regardless.
Are your oration skills, is that an art, do you think?
I think that if you don't have the ability to make other people understand exactly what you think, that you're going to struggle.
But is it an art? Like when I watched you with PBD and you got in these zones, and you do it all the time. I mean, you're doing it right now. You get in these zones where it's just like you're just flowing. I mean, it's almost, you can say it's a God state, right? It's a flow state, and it must feel really good.
It does.
Yeah, like
it feels good that you never run out of things to say, and it feels good that I already have 10 things I want to say lined up before I say the first ones.
And you know how to say them perfectly, and your voice is clear and resonant, and you're embodied in it.
It's a skill.
It's a skill. Well, but it's almost like an art, because I was watching you and I was thinking, this is like watching, Charlie Parker play the sax or Michael Jordan play basketball. I mean, you really and people might say, oh, those are exaggerations, but I don't think so. I don't know that I've seen somebody who's able to do what you do.
But that's emotional. So we'll talk about how I'm actually quite a sensitive person.
Yeah.
I think the reason people believe what I say is because they can feel that I feel when I talk.
Yes.
And it's because I feel things.
Yes.
So I'm not a cold person at all. I'm just a person with a lot of emotion that I try and control and channel in the correct directions. But I think that, yes, it's a superpower to a degree.
Well, I think that's why one of the reasons that people are so drawn to you, because you let whatever wants to come through.
And it's also why so many people hate me.
Yeah, of course.
Because there's no light without dark. There's no, there's no joy without pain. You can't have a rainbow without little rain. That's how it goes. So I think that it's definitely a superpower for life. It's something I'd encourage every man to learn how to do.
Yeah.
It's certainly something worth practicing. It's the reason I don't learn another language, because I haven't mastered English yet.
Right.
So I refuse to learn another language.
Yeah.
I can't imagine me and my personality and Andrew Tate stuttering in Spanish. It'd just be like, what is this garbage?
Yeah.
So I don't have time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I will only speak English for the rest of my human years. That's it, because I have not learned every word in the dictionary yet.
Yeah.
But
That
yeah,
do
I
sound
guess to a
crazy
degree it's
as
a
hell, though.
superpower. It's extremely beneficial in all aspects of life, especially relationships. I'm not going to lie. I don't argue with women very often, because any woman who respects me and listens to me, I can very quickly and compendiously explain exactly why I'm correct.
It's maybe the most powerful skill.
The most powerful thing about it is there's two levels to it. One, making people understand exactly what you think.
Yes.
And the second one is making them think what you think.
Right.
And if you can
I say it's the same thing with the motivational speakers. Same thing. It's just, I mean, if you want to call it an art or whatever, you could call it an art. You being a motivational speaker, having every word lined up before it even hits your mind or whatever, stuff like that, and it flows out perfectly where you can energize another person, motivate another person, breathe life back into a person who felt like their life was over with. It's just like, man, like, it can be an art. It really could be an art. Same, I mean, it's different forms of art. You got drawings, you got paintings, you got people who can shoot a basketball with the most perfect form. People will call that art or whatever, stuff like that. Or either, I mean, in my opinion, it's kind of dumb, but people that be just throwing stuff on the wall and selling it for like $10,000, I think that's the most dumbest shit in the world, but people call that art too, but, that's a whole different conversation. Hey, if you like this video right here, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Also, follow me on Instagram at KM.Little with 2 E's. Also, I have a Patreon, and I also have a private community where I talk to y'all 2-3 hours every single day. It's in the link below, also with the Discord, so join the Discord.